Wraps per inch, or WPI, is spinner language. But I am and you are a knitter, so let me translate for you today. This number tells you exactly what needle size to use and which patterns will actually work with this beautiful hand-spun yarn you probably just picked up at the market. There's actually a little bit more to it than that, so let's dive in. So what is wraps per inch? Well, basically, it's a spinning measurement that measures the thickness or diameter of the yarn using 1 inch as a measurement. I've got this really cool tool here that helps me understand what wraps per inch is and also has a translation here to help me out. But let me show you how to use this tool and what it might mean for your knitting and your new project. So I do have, first of all, let's examine some yarns here that are hand spun. I have this beautiful, this is a mohair alpaca mix, personally hand dyed by me using the Kool-Aid dyes. Just really makes this beautiful orange and red pinkish. One of my favorite yarns that I've ever done. It's very evenly uh, spun, but as you can see, there are still differences in the diameters. Like here, we got thinner here, thicker here. So there are a few differences. And then when we take a look at this yarn, also hand spun by me, this is all different mixes of wools. You can still see that, yes, it is pretty evenly spun, but we do have some thinner portions as well as some thicker portions. So it's really important to really examine your hand spun yarn and take a measurement of your wraps per inch, maybe a couple of times to really understand what needle size you want to use for that yarn. So I have a couple single plies here that we're going to use as examples to start with. So this is a very thinly spun single ply. As you can see, even though it is thinly spun, there are these thick spots because this is a mix of all different types of fibers. So we're not going to take this very edge portion because that's not as well spun. And we got these really thin parts. And so we're going to actually kind of unravel it till we get to kind of an average portion here. And then we're going to start wrapping this around. I'm going to grab that right there. You can also use a ruler with an inch measurement as well if you don't have this handy tool. And I will provide a link for this tool in the comments below if this is what you would like to have. We're just going to very carefully wrap the yarn around. And I made a guess here and I think I guessed wrong. So we're going to just slide this over so I can continue wrapping. What we want to do is we don't want to squish it like that. We want it to sit on the ruler like it would sit when you're knitting it, right? So not too clustered and not too far apart, right? So we're really trying to measure that diameter to get us a good feel for what this yarn can do for us. We're going to continue wrapping until we get to the last bit, and I don't think I can fit another one in there. So I finished wrapping the yarn. You can see right there. They're all touching but not overlapping. I've got two thick ones in there, a lot of thin ones. And so now I'm going to count how many times it's been wrapped around this tool. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 times. And I might be able to get a 12th one in there. Yeah, because it is pretty thin. So 11 to 12. And so now we have a wraps per inch. But that, as a knitter, doesn't tell us anything. What I want to do is I want to translate this to fingering, DK, chunky. Those words mean something to me. So my tool has this listed right here for me. And I know that I'm at the 11 to 12. It says DK, or you can see on the screen. 11 to 12 really goes with the DK weight yarn or sport weight. Sport DK, maybe in the worseted weight category. It really depends on what I'm making with this. But that translates, now that we know, we can use anywhere between a 3 to 9 inch US size needle. That can give us a good starting point. I think for this, as an experienced knitter, I'd probably use that 4 to 6 because there are lots of thin spots there. So I did do a swatch with another. This one's a little bit different, hand spun yarn. As you can see, the swatch, this was done with a 6mm needles, or sorry, US 6 needles. And as you can see, there are some chunky spots right there. But I like how the fabric is made. Got good spacing, and I like how all the stitches look. So I would go with a 6 after I did a swatch. So let's take a look at a different one. So this was a 6. This is also a single ply. So not all single plies are created the same. It happens to be quite bouncy and thick. So let's take a look and see what we get with wraps per inch for this one. So I'm going to pull out a little bit to get started. So I really want the middle. I don't want this end part because that's not all the way. And then I'm going to just start wrapping it. All right, and this is too far space, right? We want them to be right next to each other. And the bottom of my tool doesn't really matter that much. You see how as I stretch this yarn, it kind of thins out a little bit. That's why it's important to think about wrapping like you use the same tension that you would in a when you're knitting. All right, so let's count this. See what we get. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We got 10. And so that would get us into the worseted category or Aran category, and we'd probably want to size up because this type of wool will bloom even more after your project is done. I would recommend using those US 8 to 10 needles for it. So as you can see, using this tool really helps us understand the yarn. Not all single plies are created the same. And I am going to show you an example of a double ply so that you can get a feel there. Not all double plies are the same either. I have this beautiful double ply. I love all of the carnival type colors in this. But as you can see, that even though it is a double ply, it's very different than this double ply that has, while evenly spun, it is a little bit thicker in some portions. So let's take a look and see what the wraps per inch for this one is. Let me start over here. I'm gonna put one more there, I think. All right, so let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is 10 wraps per inch, and that also happens to get us into the worseted category, the same as this yarn right here, which is a single ply. It's just a matter of the fibers that were used and how it was spun determines its diameter. And this one is very even across. We can really see the evenness of it. So that's very helpful when we're knitting. So there you go. There's a couple examples of wraps per inch. So now that you know your wraps per inch and how that translates into needle size, or those terms that we use in knitting like fingering, sport, worseted, DK, then you can go to your favorite patterns or go to Ravelry and you can actually search for patterns based on the diameter or the type of yarn that it is, or perhaps the needle size that you want to work. And that can be really helpful in determining what kind of pattern you'd like to use. So that's wraps per inch demystified. It's not perfect, but it does give you a good starting point, and that's better than guessing blindly. The formula is simple. Measure the wraps per inch, check the chart, and then adjust for the yarn's personality, and then swatch. Happy knitting, and I'll see you next time.